I'm just really at the point in my life where I'm just doing whatever feels right and good, and it, you know, I'm not trying to be any specific in any niche or I'm trying to be as free artistically as possible.
Eivør, thank you so much for your time today. The excitement is building because your new album is going to come out soon. As we're talking, we're a little over a month away, but nevertheless. Now, this is your 11th or 12th album, kind of depending on how you count, I guess, but it's a very different one from everything else that you've done. So how are you feeling today?
I am feeling great, and it's always a relief when you know, finish an album that you've been working on for a long time. So I'm just in a state of being extremely excited to share it with people and to take it out on the road, play it live and stuff like that. I'm super excited.
Yeah, because there's a lot of surprises coming on this album that people haven't heard yet. I had a chance to listen to the full album already, and I'm going to share something with you. I'm going to polish your ego for a second.
Bring it on.
Yeah, exactly, right? When I first was given the press copy of this album and listened to it, the opening track, and I don't want to spoil anything for people that haven't at this point had a chance to listen to the album, but the opening track, you know, it kind of knocked me back to when I heard, you know, the soundtrack for Once Upon a Time in the West for the very first time. And I was just sitting there, and I was just like, I just need to sit here for a moment. I can't really do anything. And then I brought in my wife, and then we both just sat there. This whole album is a roller coaster, but the opening track for me is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard in my life. And I just want to share that with you.
God, thank you. That means so much to me. And you know, personally, that's probably also my favorite of the album, because it's a special one for me.
Are you okay with me saying that, you know, you've been for 15 years a respected voice in, let's call it, your niche, but then all of a sudden in 2015 things start to accelerate, and then obviously all of a sudden a whole new audience gets to discover you when you start collaborating with some high profile entertainment releases as well, and that has completely, you know, changed the game for you in the last 5-6 years. Is that a fair statement?
I think that's a good reflection. Yeah, I think so. And like you said, like my whole journey in music has been a proper journey. It's been long and it's been a roller coaster sometimes, you know, and definitely since I started working on movie scores and stuff, that kind of opened up a lot of new doors for me, both creatively, but also like open doors to a new audience. And so it's been a slow but steady journey, I guess.
But it must be I don't know if vindicating is the right word, or just, you know, very nice for you to see that, you know, a lot of artists that have your journey, that have been around for 25 years now, don't want to make you feel old, but
the ones who have been sticking around.
Right, but a lot of those artists are kind of forced by their audience to continue to always go back to their first 2-3 albums. Where I would doubt that's the case with you at this point, where you're in your 25th year in your career, your 12th album or 13th album, and it feels more like the start of something than the end of something.
Yeah, I think I really feel like that. This is this album in many ways feels like a new chapter for me. Although it's also very much like about going back to my roots in a way. It's very much back to my roots, and at the same time it's opening up small windows into into other things that I haven't done creatively before. So in that way, it feels like I'm gathering all my package behind me together, kind of compressing it all into this album, which feels feels good.
It's almost like an anthology, if you will, or like a greatest hits album, but it's all new songs. Every sound that you've done before is kind of sprinkled in the album. Some a little bit more to the forefront than others. So I want to ask you something specific, because people that know your discography, and sure, you have those folk roots for sure, but it's not new for you to channel your inner Kate Bush, Bjork, and maybe even a darker version of Robyn on some of these more electronic tracks that we're hearing now. That's not something that's new. Like in the last 15 years you've done that, but because of the collaborations that went viral, and the Last Kingdom and Gods of War, on a global scale, it feels like all of a sudden you were kind of looped in, whether or not you wanted that, with the Heilungs and the Wardrunas and the neo-pagan scene. I know that's not the right way to call it, but especially putting out the first two singles that have been put out that are heavily more on that dream dark pop electronic vibe. Was that a conscious decision to kind of like break away from that mold a bit?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because I had no idea which singles to put out first. So I had long discussions with my label and people around me, and to get some input, and I kind of just felt like introducing like the first single, which is quite heavy electronic track, but which also has like some of the elements from the more raw tracks of the album. I thought that kind of represented the album quite well in a way, although I know people will be quite surprised when they hear it, because the songs all have their own identity in a way. But I don't know. And then I thought about the second single, which I just released, that I liked the idea of a lighter, more poppy, dancey track as the second single, and the third one will definitely surprise people because it's nothing like those two. So they will get a sense of the nuances of the album, I think, when the third single comes out. You asked me whether I'm trying to steer away from the pagan Viking sounding scene, but I'm not trying to steer like anywhere. I'm just really at a point in my life where I'm just doing whatever feels right and good, and it, I'm not trying to be any specific in any niche or I'm trying to be as free artistically as possible, and just do whatever feels organic.
So one last question about this whole, you named it Viking scene. Like you've already had, listeners kind of everywhere. You're just as popular apparently in Turkey as in France, as well in Scandinavian countries. But when you look at this scene that you were kind of pushed in, and obviously you've toured and will continue to tour with Heilung, for somebody that is born and raised in the Nordics, where that Viking culture, if you will, or roots make sense, because that's actually where that's from. Are you surprised to see, you were just in Red Rock Theater, playing for thousands of Midwestern Americans who, some of them probably will claim some sort of Viking heritage, but is it surprising to you, as somebody who's actually from the Nordics, to see how popular, through pop culture as well and TV shows and what have you, how popular globally this Viking culture has become in the last 10 years?
It kind of blows my mind, and it's yeah, it's really cool to see that people are so into that kind of music, and somehow I mean it's such a big part of my roots, like all the old Faroese ballads and stuff. They're all about these battles and Vikings and stuff like that. So it's like somehow a very strong part of my how can I say, like my inner landscape when it comes to music and stuff, because my roots in traditional Faroese music comes from there, and then it finds its way, I guess, into my sound unconsciously, I think, and somehow accidentally I ended up in doing, you know, a Viking TV series. I've done God of War, and all of a sudden I'm like all in. And it's I'm just enjoying the journey, and it's a beautiful audience, and they are so into it, and it's such a pleasure to share music with them because they're so into it. Yeah.
You say something that I find really interesting, because you say, like, you know, the stories are important, the Faroes music that inspired me, you know, and language is clearly important to you because you choose to sing in your native language, which means that you feel that I couldn't say it the way I wanted to say it in English. That would be a little bit more global. But then 99% of your audience doesn't speak this language. And probably 95% of your audience will not really take the time to dig into it and translate these songs or look up the translations and what have you, but they might still very much love the song. Is that for you? Is that totally fine? Or is there a voice in the back of your mind that goes like, it's kind of a shame that you're not getting the full experience because what I'm saying is also really important?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I've had this thought a lot in my life, like when I've sung for audiences, and there was a time when I thought, okay, I have to sing in English so everyone understands what I'm saying. But I've come to know that it's not always that important to understand each word in a song. It's often the mood of the song that touches you, and often people, I find it quite beautiful when people almost create their own story of the song, and it's often very similar to what my thought behind it was. Sometimes not at all, but you know, and it's quite kind of opens a song up more in a way when you don't understand the lyrics. But yeah, it's I think that music is such a universal language on its own that I have found some peace with that it's okay that I sing in Faroese. And
does that make then the visual side of your art also just a little bit more important? Because I know that you've shared already that there is somewhat of a concept on this album and dealing with the passing of time and Earth versus humanity, if you will, and struggles there. But when we see the two videos that have been released, they are somewhat minimalistic, but there's also a ton of symbolism in there. Like, do they tell a story when you say like, oh, there's another single coming? Like, are you telling the story throughout music videos as well, or is that completely separate?
Yeah, I try to keep all those things in line, also the artworks and stuff, to kind of make that like reflect the music, and to kind of strengthen even like the moods of the music. I think an artwork should do that, and the same with the videos, that they kind of become a visual home for a song. And so it's important to me that it has the right mood, and I try to tell the story. I like, for this album, for these videos, I wanted them to be quite simple and not too literal, because this album is quite it can be a bit abstract, some of the themes, and it's very much about going into a certain state of mind. Yeah. So I wanted the videos to reflect that as well.
Svönleysa nóttin
this is the first album with a label, a very particular label. Also, why all of a sudden you've got people that usually interview heavy metal artists interview you. And that's the power of Season of Mist, a very well respected, label within the metal community. A bit of a double question for you, how did that happen that you find, because you are going to be not the ugly duck, but the weird duck in the roster of a label like that.
I'm the weirdo there for sure.
Yes. So how did that happen? But then also, I asked you before, were you surprised to see how globally, Viking culture is become popular? Have you been similarly surprised to see how Season of Mist is not for Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. It's for extreme metal, how that community is embracing, dark pop artists like yourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed. And the past few years, I've seen a lot of metalheads at my shows, and I've been it's been a pleasant surprise. Wow, you guys like my music? What's going on? And I don't know what it is, but there is some kind of, for some people, I guess there's a link. There's for some reason
primordial energy kind of thing.
Probably some kind of primal energy, and I enjoy. What I enjoy to see at my shows is this diverse, diverse collection of people. You see, all these types and all these ages, and I find it so beautiful to see so many different types coming together, and sharing a moment together, and that's just that's my favorite thing. And being on Season of Mist, I met Michael from Season of Mist a while back through Heilung, because I was touring with Heilung, and we became good friends and chatted, and they were interested in working together. And I thought, I've been self-releasing for many years, and because I like my creative freedom, I've never felt that I can be on any major labels or anything. I'm too crazy. I'm too playful when it comes to creating. And I felt that we were on the same page straight away, and I thought, well, why don't we try to do a collaboration? Because it just felt like the right thing at the moment.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, not giving away spoilers for people that haven't heard the album, but there a little bit of metal seeped into your release. For one particular song is a little bit more fun and crazy, as you say. Yeah, there are some elements. I mean, when I was a teenager, I listened to Korn and stuff like that. So there is. I have a little metal girl living inside my head as well. Yeah. So awesome. Yes, I mean, like we said, this album has elements from so many experiences that I've been through in my life. So. You've got this album now coming out, but you're going to be extremely busy this year. You've got more shows of Heilung. You are also doing a headline run with Sylvaine, and other Season of Mist artist who's also, she's more like, she's half weird and half metal in the eyes of the Season of Mist fan base, if you will. She'll be supporting you doing her solo run, which is really beautiful as well. For those different shows,
she's brilliant.
She's wonderful. She's one of my favorite people. So
have you met her? She's.
Oh yeah. I will even go out on a limb to say that we're friends.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I mean, I heard her. I have never met her yet. I can't wait to tour with her. And
she's wonderful. She's lovely.
I listened to her live performance. I was like, wow, that woman is incredible. Yeah. So I'm really happy she's coming along with us.
So for those shows, will you, because you have such a back catalog, and you can, for the Heilung fan, you can do 100% pagan set, and for the more adventurous, or not adventurous, sorry, the more, you know, proper Eivør fan, you can now give them, you know, that Kate Bushy Bjork experience that is going to be a little bit more present on the new album and on some previous albums. Will you be catering or switching up your sets based on who you play with, or going forward it's like, no matter who my audience is, you're gonna get this experience?
I try not to be too serving in that way, like what's important for me is to create a whole and a set that is beautifully put together and works as well as possible as a whole journey of a concert, but just for myself, and I try to do this for myself so that I can deliver something that feels honest and real. Yeah. And for myself, I always need to bring in a few elements. Like I will definitely bring in some of my raw, more Nordic sounding tracks, and there will be elements of beats, and there will be some poppiness some places, and some rockiness, and also some softness. And I think we'll go through a journey, and it will be a wide palette of vibes.
There we go. Well, I can only, you know, say to wrap us up that I hope to see North American dates announced so that you can come back. Obviously, you know, Red Rock is fantastic, but we hope to see you play here in Canada as well.
Oh my goodness.
If not, we'll just have to come find you wherever you play.
I hope to come back to Canada soon. It's always been so incredible to play there.
There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Eivør, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I think you can tell I'm excited about the album, so I can't wait for the release.
I'm so glad you like it.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.